Kang Minho woke up with his head pounding. The metal floor beneath him was cold, and his wrists hurt from the energy chains holding him down. He tried to remember how he got here, but everything was blurry. The last thing he remembered clearly was the battle at Proxima Gate, explosions everywhere, and then nothing. He opened his eyes slowly. The room around him was huge, shaped like a circle. The walls were dark gray metal, covered with strange symbols that glowed with a faint blue light. High above him, there were lights that looked like small suns, making everything look harsh and unfriendly. "Human," a voice said. It sounded strange, like metal scraping against stone. "You are awake." Minho turned his head. Through a thick glass window above, he could see a creature looking down at him. It was tall, maybe 9 feet, with dark red skin that looked like armor. Its face had 4 eyes arranged in a square pattern, and its mouth had too many teeth. This was a Vrex, one of the aliens who had captured him 6 months ago. "Where am I?" Minho asked. His throat was dry and his voice came out rough. "You are in Detention Station Krath 9, the Vrex said. "I am Commander Thulvex. You have been chosen for a special purpose, human." Minho felt his stomach drop. Nothing good ever came from being chosen by the Vrex. He had heard stories from other prisoners about what happened to humans who got special attention. "What purpose?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Thulvex made a sound that might have been laughter. "You will meet the Voidborn. It is our most effective method for dealing with stubborn prisoners like you. 17 of your kind have already met it. None returned." 17. Minho closed his eyes. 17 humans gone. "The Voidborn," Thulvex continued, "is a creature we found many years ago, drifting in a crack in space itself. It exists between dimensions. It cannot be killed by any weapon we have tried. It consumes everything we feed it." Another voice suddenly crackled through the speakers. It was glitchy, breaking up, but Minho recognized it immediately. "Minho, can you hear me?" "Hana?" Minho sat up as much as the chains allowed. Dr. Yoon Hana had been captured with him. They had worked together on Earth, studying alien life forms before the war started. She was brilliant, and if anyone could hack into Vrex systems, it was her. "Listen quickly," Hana said, her voice urgent. "The creature they are talking about, it is real. I have seen the records. But Minho, all the humans before you, they died from heart attacks. Their hearts stopped from fear before the creature even touched them. You have to stay calm. Remember your training. Remember the grizzly bear on Europa Station. Remember—" The speakers cut off with a sharp screech. Thulvex roared something in his own language, probably ordering his soldiers to find Hana and stop her. But she had given Minho something important. Information. Hope, maybe. He had worked with dangerous animals before. Back on Earth, he had been a veterinarian before joining the Defense Force. Then, during the war, he became a medic. He had faced down a European grizzly bear once, a creature that weighed 2 tons and had been injured and angry. He had not run. He had stayed calm, spoken softly, and helped it. Of course, an alien creature from between dimensions was probably different from a bear. But the principle might be the same. Animals, creatures, they usually did not attack without reason. They attacked because they were scared, or hurt, or hungry, or protecting something. "Any last words, human?" Thulvex asked. Minho looked up at the commander. "Yes," he said. "Thank you for the information." Thulvex's 4 eyes blinked in confusion. That was clearly not the response he expected. Before the commander could say anything else, the floor beneath Minho suddenly vanished. The energy chains released him at the same moment, and he fell. He dropped into darkness so complete that he could not see his own hands in front of his face. The air rushed past him, but he felt no wind. It was like falling through nothing. He fell for what felt like hours, but might have been seconds. Time did not feel right. Then, just as suddenly as he started falling, he stopped. He was not on solid ground. He was just floating, suspended in the middle of absolute darkness. Minho took a breath. The air tasted strange, metallic and sweet at the same time, but he could breathe. That was something. He tried to look around, but there was nothing to see. No light, no walls, no floor or ceiling. Just darkness. Then he noticed small points of light in the distance. They looked like glowing jellyfish, floating and pulsing with soft blue and green light. They were beautiful in a strange way, peaceful even. He floated there, trying to calm his racing heart. Stay calm. Do not panic. Panic killed the others. That was when he heard it. A sound. Movement. Something massive displacing the darkness itself. It was like hearing an ocean move, except there was no water. The sound came from everywhere and nowhere at once. Minho's training kicked in. He made himself go still. When facing a predator, sudden movement could trigger an attack. He slowed his breathing in and out, steady and calm. The movement came closer. He still could not see anything, but he could feel it now. A presence. Something enormous. The darkness itself seemed to bend around it. Then, slowly, shapes began to form in the blackness. Scales. Huge scales, each one the size of a car door, covered in patterns that hurt to look at. They seemed to exist in multiple places at once, shifting between here and somewhere else. The scales caught the light from the floating jellyfish things and reflected it in colors that did not have names. More of the creature came into view. A body that went on forever, coiling through the darkness. Minho could not see where it started or where it ended. It was like trying to see all of a mountain range at once. Then he saw the eyes. Hundreds of them. Thousands, maybe. They covered the creature's body like stars, each one glowing with a faint light, and they were all looking at him. Minho's heart hammered in his chest, but he forced himself to stay still. He looked at the creature, really looked at it, and that was when he noticed something odd. The creature was moving strangely. It favored one side, coiling in a way that seemed unnatural. As it came closer, swimming through the darkness like a fish through water, he saw something else. Metal. Vrex metal, embedded in the creature's scales. Harpoons, cables, pieces of machinery. They were stuck in the creature's body, some of them so deep that the scales had grown around them. The creature was hurt. It had been hurt for a long time. The massive head came into view. It was hard to look at, shaped wrong for three-dimensional space. The mouth could open wide enough to swallow a spaceship whole. Rows and rows of teeth, each one glowing with the same strange light as the eyes. The mouth began to open. This was it. This was how the others had died, seeing this, their hearts stopping from pure terror. But Minho did not feel terror. He felt something else. Something that surprised him. He felt sorry for it. His hands came up slowly, palms out. The universal gesture for peace, for no harm. He had no idea if the creature would understand, but he had to try. "Hey," he said softly. "Hey, it is okay. I am not going to hurt you." The creature stopped. The mouth, which had been opening, paused. Thousands of eyes focused on him, really seeing him for maybe the first time. "I know you are in pain," Minho continued, his voice steady and calm. "I can see it. Those things in your side, they hurt. Do they not? I can help. If you let me, I can help you." The creature did not move. It just floated there, watching him. Minho took a slow breath and pushed himself forward, floating toward the creature, toward the embedded metal, toward the pain. His hands were shaking, but his voice was not. "Let me help you." Minho floated closer to the creature, moving slowly. Every instinct in his body screamed at him to swim away, to put distance between himself and this impossible thing. But he had learned long ago not to trust panic. Panic got people killed. The creature watched him with its thousands of eyes. It did not move, did not attack. It just watched. Waiting, maybe, or confused. Minho wondered how long it had been since something moved toward it instead of away from it. He reached the creature's side, near one of the embedded harpoons. Up close, the scales were even stranger. They shifted and shimmered, like looking at something through water. When he reached out to touch one, his hand went slightly numb, like the scale existed in two places at once and his nerves could not figure out which one was real. "I am going to touch this now," Minho said, pointing at the harpoon. It might hurt a little, but I will be careful. He had no idea if the creature understood his words, but tone mattered. He had learned that working with animals. They might not know what you were saying, but they knew how you were saying it. The harpoon was buried deep, with cables still attached that disappeared into the darkness. Minho pulled off his uniform jacket and wrapped it around his hands for protection. The metal was sharp, and the edges glowed with the same blue light as the Vrek symbols. Some kind of energy weapon, probably. He grabbed the harpoon shaft firmly and pulled. It did not budge. The creature's scales had grown around it, holding it in place. He would need to work it loose carefully. "Okay," he said softly. "This is going to take some time. Stay still for me." He began to rock the harpoon back and forth, slowly, gently. The creature made a sound. It was low and deep, vibrating through Minho's bones. Not quite a growl, not quite a moan. Pain, he thought. It was the sound of pain. "I know," Minho said. "I know it hurts, but we have to get it out. It will feel better after, I promise." He kept working. The harpoon started to come loose, millimeter by millimeter. The creature's scales flexed around it, and Minho could see some kind of fluid leaking out. It glowed softly in the darkness, blue-green and thick. After what felt like an hour, the harpoon finally came free. Minho pulled it out and let it float away into the darkness. The wound it left behind was deep, but almost immediately, the scales began to shift and close over it. The creature was healing itself. "Good," Minho said, breathing hard. That had taken a lot of effort. "One down. How many more do you have?" The creature moved, and Minho's stomach lurched as the darkness spun around him. When everything settled, he found himself facing another section of the massive body. More harpoons, more cables, more pain embedded in those impossible scales. "Right," Minho said. "Let us get to work then." He lost track of time. In this place, time did not work right anyway. He moved from one harpoon to the next, working each one loose, talking the entire time. He talked about Earth, about his grandmother who had raised him after his parents died. He talked about his work with animals, about the first time he had helped deliver a foal, and how beautiful it had been. He even hummed some of the old songs his grandmother had taught him, folk songs from Jeju Island about the sea and the wind. The creature listened, or at least, it seemed to. It would shift sometimes, moving a different part of its body toward him, showing him where else it hurt. Sometimes it made that deep sound again, and Minho learned to recognize when he needed to be more careful, when something hurt more than usual. He found pieces of Vrek's technology that had been embedded for so long that the creature's body had almost absorbed them. Those were the worst. He had to carefully pry away scales, working slowly, apologizing the whole time. The creature never pulled away. It stayed still, trusting him. That trust broke something in Minho's chest. This creature, this impossible being that could have killed him in a second, was trusting him, letting him help. How long had it been in pain? How long had it been alone? Finally, after hours or maybe days, he removed the last piece of metal. A large cable that had been wrapped around what might have been the creature's spine. When it came free, the creature's whole body shuddered. Then it made a different sound. Not pain this time. Something else. Relief, maybe. Minho let himself float there, exhausted. His hands were cut and bleeding from the sharp metal. His arms ached. But he felt good. He had helped. That was what mattered. The creature moved again, but this time it was different. It coiled through the darkness, looping around itself, and then it came back to Minho. Slowly, carefully, it began to wrap around him. Not tight, not crushing. Gentle, like a cat curling up in someone's lap. Minho found himself surrounded by scales that shifted between dimensions, by the warmth of the creature's body. He could feel it breathing, or doing whatever passed for breathing in this place. The thousands of eyes closed slowly, one by one, until only a few remained open, watching him. "You are welcome," Minho said softly. He reached out and touched the scales nearest him. They felt warm now, not numb. "You are a good creature, are you not? Just hurt, just lonely." He felt something then. It was not a sound or a touch. It was like a feeling that was not his own, suddenly appearing in his mind. gratitude, curiosity. And underneath it all, a deep, deep sadness. The creature was telepathic. Of course it was. Minho should have guessed. He concentrated, trying to send his own feelings back. Friendship, safety, care. More feelings came to him from the creature. Images, blurry and strange. He saw the creature being captured, young and small. He saw Vrex ships surrounding it, shooting it with weapons. He saw a cage made of energy, shrinking and shrinking until the creature had to fold itself into dimensions it was not meant to go. He saw pain, endless pain, and the faces of the Vrex who heard it, who taught it to be afraid. Then he saw the humans. 17 of them, one by one, falling into this darkness. He felt the creature's confusion each time. It had not wanted to hurt them. But they had taken one look at it and their hearts had simply stopped. Fear killed them before the creature even came close. And each time the creature had felt more alone. More like the monster the Vrex said it was. "No," Minho said out loud. "No, you are not a monster. They made you into a weapon, but that is not what you are." He pushed another feeling toward the creature. Compassion, understanding, and something else. A question. "What is your name?" The feelings that came back were complicated. The creature did not have a name, not in the way humans understood names. It was just itself, alone, the only one. "Then I will call you Duri," Minho said. "It means two in my language, because now you are not alone anymore. There are two of us." The creature, Duri, made that deep sound again. But this time it sounded almost happy. The coils around Minho tightened slightly, a gentle squeeze. A hug. Minho laughed. It came out shaky because he was tired and his emotions were all over the place, but it was a real laugh. "Yeah," he said. "I like you too." He rested his head against Duri's scales. They were warm and surprisingly comfortable. His eyes were so heavy. He had not slept in who knew how long. "Just going to rest for a minute," he mumbled. Duri made a soft sound, almost like a purr. The creature dimmed the light from its eyes, making the darkness gentler. Protective. Minho fell asleep surrounded by an ancient being from between dimensions, feeling safer than he had in months. Somewhere far above them, in the normal world, alarms were probably going off. The Vrex were probably panicking. He had been down here too long. He should be dead. But he was not dead. He was asleep, wrapped in the coils of a creature that the universe called a nightmare, dreaming of his grandmother's house by the sea. Commander Thulvex stared at the monitors in disbelief. 3 days. 3 Earth days. The human was still alive. "This is impossible," he said for the 7th time that hour. The Vrex scientist next to him, a thin female named Kreshva, worked frantically at her console. "The readings are clear, Commander. The human's heart rate is steady. He is breathing normally. He even appears to be sleeping." "Sleeping," Thulvex repeated. "In the Voidborn's dimension. With the Voidborn." "Yes, Commander." Thulvex felt something he rarely felt. Uncertainty. He had sent 53 beings into that dimensional pocket over the years. Criminals, rebels, enemy soldiers. All of them had died within minutes. Their hearts had simply stopped, unable to handle the terror of facing the Voidborn. But this human, this Kong Minho, was sleeping. "Sir," Kreshva said, her voice shaking, "there is something else. The energy readings from the pocket dimension have changed. The Voidborn's signature is different, calmer. And there are moments when the human's brainwaves sync with the creature's patterns." "What does that mean?" "I think," Kreshva said carefully, "they are communicating." Before Thulvex could respond, the door to the monitoring room burst open. Supreme Commander Zalthrok entered, flanked by 4 guards. He was older than Thulvex, with scars covering his armor-plated skin. He had commanded Vrex fleets for 30 years and was known for his ruthlessness. "Explain this failure," Zalthrok demanded. Thulvex straightened. "It is not a failure, Supreme Commander. It is unprecedented. The human has survived longer than any previous subject." "That is a failure," Zalthrok snarled. "The Voidborn is a weapon. It should kill instantly. If the humans learn one of their kind can survive it, they will lose their fear of us." He moved to the console and stared at the readings. I am calling in a fleet. We will extract this human and discover his secret. Then we will kill him properly. Inside the dimensional pocket, Minho woke slowly. He was still wrapped in Duri's coils, still safe. He stretched carefully, and Duri shifted to give him room. The creature's eyes opened, hundreds of them, all focused on him with what Minho was starting to recognize as affection. Good morning, Minho said, then laughed. Or good whatever time it is. Feelings came to him from Duri. Happiness at seeing him awake. Contentment. But also something new. Worry. Minho frowned. What is wrong? Duri sent him images. Minho saw the Vrek station above them, saw ships gathering, saw energy building. They were going to do something. Something that would hurt. They are coming for us, Minho said quietly. More feelings from Duri. Fear. Not fear of dying, but fear of being separated from Minho. Fear of being alone again. Fear of being hurt again. No, Minho said firmly. He placed both hands on Duri's scales. No, I will not let them take you. I will not let them hurt you anymore. Duri sent him a question. How? Minho thought about it. He was one human, unarmed, trapped in a dimensional pocket. But he was not helpless. And neither was Duri. How long have they kept you here? He asked. Duri showed him memories. Decades, maybe centuries. Time was hard to measure in the creature's mind. They had captured it young, hurt it, trained it to be afraid of them. They fed it weapons and pain until it learned to stay in its pocket dimension and only come out when commanded. But you are not their weapon anymore, Minho said. You are Duri, and you are strong. Stronger than they know because they have only ever seen you in pain. He felt Duri's confusion. The creature did not understand. They think you are a monster they control, Minho explained. But you are not. You are a living being who has been hurt and wants to be free. So let me ask you something, Duri. Do you want to be free? The response was immediate and overwhelming. Yes. Yes. 1,000 times yes. Then when they open that portal, Minho said, we go through it, together, and we do not stop until everyone who wants to be free is free. Above them, in the Vrek station, alarms began to blare. Zalthrok stood in front of a massive portal device. Thulvex and 20 guards stood ready with weapons. Open it, Zalthrok ordered. Kreshva activated the portal. Space ripped open, a tear in reality that showed the darkness of the dimensional pocket beyond. Energy crackled around the edges. Send in the extraction drones, Zalthrok said. Retrieve the human. 3 floating machines moved through the portal. They had barely entered the pocket dimension when something massive hit them. The drones exploded in sparks and metal. Then Duri came through. The creature erupted into real space for the first time in years. It was even more impossible to look at in normal dimensions. Scales that existed in multiple places at once. Eyes that saw through time. A body that coiled through the air itself. And on its back, holding onto the scales, was Minho. The Vrex guards opened fire immediately. Energy blasts filled the room. But the weapons passed through Duri like it was not there. Or they bounced off at angles that should not exist. The creature's dimensional nature made it nearly invulnerable. Stop, Minho shouted. We do not want to fight. But the Vrex did not stop. Zalthrok roared commands, and more guards poured in. Duri lashed out. Not to kill, Minho could feel the restraint through their connection. But to defend. The creature's tail, existing in multiple dimensions at once, passed through walls and equipment. The portal device exploded. Half the monitoring station's wall simply vanished, creating vacuum that the emergency shields barely caught. Duri, wait, Minho said. The prison blocks. There are other prisoners. Can you find them? Duri sent back acknowledgement. The creature could sense life, all life, throughout the station. Take me there, Minho said. Please. Duri moved through the station like a fish through water, phasing through walls when needed, coiling through corridors that were too small. Guards shot at them and ran in equal measure. Minho held on, his heart racing but his purpose clear. They reached the prison blocks. Dury tore through the security barriers like they were paper. Cells opened, locks broke, energy fields failed. Prisoners stumbled out, confused and afraid. And then Minho saw her. Hana, thin and tired-looking, but alive. Her eyes went wide when she saw him. "Minho," she gasped. "How are you? What is that? Is that the Voidborn?" "Long story," Minho said, sliding down from Dury's back. The creature coiled protectively around them both. "Short version, this is Dury. Dury is my friend, and we are getting everyone out of here." Other humans emerged from their cells. Lee Daeho, a pilot Minho recognized from the Defense Force. Park Ji-woo, an engineer who had been captured at the same time as Minho. And others, maybe 30 humans total. There were also non-humans. Species Minho did not recognize, all of them prisoners of the Vrex. "The hangar bay," Daeho said immediately. "We need ships." "I can get us there," Ji-woo said, "but the ships will be locked down. I need time to override the controls." "We will buy you time," Minho said. He looked at Dury. "Can you get us to the hangar?" Dury sent back affirmation and something else. A warning. There was danger coming, big danger. In the command center, Zalthrok watched the chaos on the monitors. His station was falling apart. The prisoners were escaping. And it was all because of one human who had done the impossible. He could not allow this. If word spread that the Voidborn could be tamed, that humans could turn the Vrex's greatest weapon against them, the Empire would look weak. He would look weak. "Initiate self-destruct," he ordered. 10 minutes. Kill everyone. Thulvek stepped forward. "Sir, our own people are still on board." "They are acceptable losses," Zalthrok said coldly. "The Voidborn must not escape." Thulvex looked at the Supreme Commander. He thought about the human, Minho, who had shown more compassion to a creature in 3 days than the Vrex had shown in years. He thought about honor and duty and what those words really meant. He made a decision. His clawed hand shot out and disabled the self-destruct console. "No," he said quietly. Zalthrok turned on him, enraged. "You dare!" But Thulvex was already moving toward the door. The human showed mercy to a creature that could have killed him. Perhaps we are the ones who have been monsters. He ran. Behind him, Zalthrok's roars of fury echoed through the command center. But Thulvex did not stop. He had a new purpose now. He had to help the prisoners escape. It was the right thing to do. For the first time in his military career, Thulvex was choosing right over obedient. The hangar bay was massive, filled with Vrex warships and transport vessels. Emergency lights flashed red, and alarms screamed through the speakers. Minho stood with the freed prisoners while Jiwoo worked frantically at a control panel, trying to unlock the ships. "How much longer?" Daeho asked, keeping watch at the entrance. 5 minutes, Jiwoo said, without looking up. "Maybe 3 if I bypass the secondary protocols." "We might not have 3 minutes, Hana said. She was looking at a stolen Vrex tablet, reading the station's systems. The command center just tried to activate self-destruct. Someone stopped it, but that means they are desperate. Minho felt Dury's worry through their connection. The creature was coiled in the center of the hangar, too large to fit comfortably. Several of the freed prisoners kept their distance, still afraid. Others, mostly the non-humans, approached cautiously, reaching out to touch Dury's scales with wonder. A small child, one of the alien species with gray skin and large eyes, walked right up to Dury. She could not have been more than 5 years old by human standards. She placed her tiny hand on Dury's scales and giggled. Dury made a soft, rumbling sound. The creature's eyes near the child glowed gently, and Minho felt warmth and protectiveness flow through their bond. Dury liked children. Of course it did. "It is okay," the child said in broken common language. "Nice snake." "Very nice snake," Minho agreed with a smile. The hangar door suddenly exploded inward. Vrex soldiers poured through, at least 50 of them, armed with heavy weapons. Their commander, a massive Vrex with a scarred face, pointed at the prisoners. Surrender now, he roared, or we will open fire. Minho stepped forward, hands raised. We do not want violence. Just let us leave. You do not give orders here, human, the commander snarled. You die here. The soldiers raised their weapons. The prisoners moved behind Duri, using the creature as a shield. But Minho knew that even Duri could not protect everyone from this many weapons. Some of the shots would get through. He was preparing to do something stupid and brave when the soldiers suddenly stopped. They were looking at something behind Minho. He turned. Thulvek stood there, having entered through a side door. The Vrex commander looked different now. He had removed his weapon harness, a sign of non-aggression among his people. Stand down, Thulvek said to the soldiers. Commander? The scarred Vrex said, confused. Supreme Commander Zalthrok ordered. Zalthrok is wrong, Thulvex interrupted. He walked forward slowly, stopping next to Minho. I have served the Vrex Empire for 20 years. I have followed every order, committed every act of violence demanded of me. But this human has shown me something in 3 days that I never learned in 20 years. What is that? The scarred commander asked. That strength without mercy is just cruelty, Thulvex said. Look at the Voidborn. We tortured it for years, made it into a weapon. But this human healed it, showed it kindness. And now it would die to protect him. That is real strength. The soldiers shifted uncomfortably. Some lowered their weapons slightly. You are a traitor, the scarred commander said, but his voice lacked conviction. Perhaps, Thulvex agreed, or perhaps I am finally choosing to serve honor instead of cruelty. You all have the same choice now. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then, one by one, several soldiers lowered their weapons completely. Not all of them, maybe half, but it was enough. The scarred commander growled in frustration. Fine, take the traitor when you leave. He is no longer Vrex. Got it, Jiwoo shouted from the control panel. Ships are unlocked. Everyone move. The prisoners rushed to the ships. Hana organized them, making sure each vessel had someone who could pilot it. Daeho took the largest transport, helping the non-combatants aboard. Jiwoo sprinted to a small fighter craft. Minho turned to Thulvex. Come with us. I am Vrex, Thulvex said quietly. Your people will not trust me. My people will follow my lead, Minho said, and I trust you. You just gave up everything to help us. That counts for a lot. Thulvex's 4 eyes blinked in surprise. Then he nodded once, a gesture of respect. Minho climbed onto Duri's back. The creature was too large to fit in any ship, but Duri could survive in space. The dimensional nature that made the creature so hard to kill also meant it did not need air or warmth like normal beings. Hana, Minho called. Go with Daeho. I will ride with Duri. Are you insane? Hana shouted back. Space is... Duri will keep me safe, Minho said confidently. I know it. Through their bond, he felt Duri's agreement. The creature would create a small dimensional bubble around Minho, keeping him protected from the vacuum of space. The ships launched one by one, bursting out of the hangar bay into space. Duri followed, phasing through the station's hull like it was not there. Minho held on tight, and true to Duri's promise, he could breathe. The bubble of normal space around him felt strange, but it worked. Behind them, the station's remaining defense weapons opened fire. Energy blasts filled space. But Duri moved between dimensions, avoiding most of them, and the few that hit simply passed through. They were free. Actually free. Then Minho felt something through his bond with Duri. Anger. Not Duri's anger. Someone else's. Warning. Daeho's voice came through the communication device Thulvex had given Minho. Large Vrex warship incoming. It is the Supreme Commander's personal flagship. Minho looked up and saw it. The ship was enormous, twice the size of the station they had just escaped. And it was moving fast, positioning itself between the escaped prisoners and open space. This is Supreme Commander Zalthrok, a voice boomed across all frequencies. You will return to the station immediately, or I will destroy all of you. Keep going, Minho said into the communicator. Do not stop. But Minho, Hana said, his ship has enough firepower to... I know, Minho interrupted. But he is not going to shoot. Not yet. He wants Dury alive. He was right. The flagship did not fire. Instead, it launched something else. A device that hummed with energy, creating a field of distorted space. Dury suddenly screeched, a sound that made Minho's bones ache. The creature thrashed, trying to phase away but could not. The device was locking Dury into normal space, preventing the dimensional shifting that was the creature's greatest defense. It is a dimensional anchor, Thulvek said grimly. We developed it specifically to contain the Voidborn. I did not know Zalthrok brought one with him. Dury was being pulled toward the flagship. The creature fought, coiling and twisting, but the anchor was too strong. They were both going to be captured. Minho felt Dury's fear through their bond, and underneath it, resignation. The creature thought this was the end. Back to the cage. Back to the pain. No, Minho said out loud. No. You are not going back. I promised you freedom and I keep my promises. He reached out through the bond, not with words or feelings, but with memories. He showed Dury the moment they met, when Minho had chosen to help instead of hide. He showed Dury the hours spent removing weapons, the gentleness, the care. He showed Dury the child in the hangar, reaching out to touch the nice snake without fear. And he showed Dury something else. Hope. The possibility of a future where they were both free, where Dury was not a weapon or a monster, but just Dury. Something changed in the creature. The fear faded. The resignation disappeared. What replaced it was something Minho had never felt from Dury before. Determination. Dury stopped fighting the anchor and instead turned toward it. The creature opened its massive jaws and bit down on the energy field itself. Reality screamed. The dimensional anchor tried to pull Dury in, but Dury was pulling back, using its own connection to other dimensions as leverage. Impossible, Zalthrok's voice said. The anchor is rated for... The device exploded. Energy rippled across space, making the stars flicker. Dury was free. But more than that, the creature was angry now. Not the mindless rage of a beast, but the righteous anger of someone who had been hurt too many times and was finally able to fight back. Minho felt the question through their bond. Can I stop him? He knew what Dury meant. Zalthrok, the one who had hurt Dury for years, who had turned the creature into a weapon, who would keep hunting them forever if he lived. Minho thought about it. He thought about mercy and justice and the difference between the two. He thought about all the beings Zalthrok had killed, all the pain he had caused. Yes, Minho said quietly. But Dury, listen to me. Quick and clean. We are better than them. We do not torture. We do not make others suffer. Understood? Dury sent back understanding and agreement. The creature moved faster than Minho had ever seen it move before. It phased through the flagship's shields like they were not there, disappeared into the ship itself. Through the bond, Minho felt Dury find Zalthrok in the command center. He felt the moment Dury pulled the Supreme Commander into the dimensional pocket. Zalthrok's screams lasted only seconds before they cut off. Minho did not know exactly what happened in those seconds. Dury did not show him. But when the creature returned, emerging from the flagship, Zalthrok was gone. The Vrex crew on the flagship panicked. Without their commander, without orders, they did not know what to do. Half of them started retreating. The other half just floated in space, confused. All ships, Deho said over the communicator. Jump coordinates are locked in. We jump in 30 seconds. The escaped prisoner ships gathered together, forming a loose convoy. Dury took position at the center, still carrying Minho. Where are we going? Minho asked. Uncharted space, Thulvek said. There is a region the Vrex avoid. Too far from their supply lines. We will be safe there, for a while at least. The ships jumped, reality folding around them. When they emerged seconds later, they were millions of miles away from the station. Free space, empty space, safe space. Minho let out a breath he did not know he was holding. Around him, through the dimensional bubble, he could see stars. Real stars. Not the harsh lights of prison cells. Dury coiled contentedly, and through their bond, Minho felt something he had never felt from the creature before. Peace. 6 months had passed since the escape. Minho stood on the observation deck of the refugee fleet's largest ship, watching Duri play in the space outside. The creature was chasing one of the small maintenance drones, not to hurt it, but like a cat playing with a toy. The drone's pilot, a young Vrex defector named Talvik, was laughing over the radio. The mighty Voidborn, terror of the galaxy defeated by a maintenance drone, Talvik joked. Minho smiled. Things had changed so much in such a short time. After the escape, word had spread quickly. Humans who had survived the initial war, aliens who had suffered under Vrex rule, even some Vrex like Thulvex, who had grown tired of their empire's cruelty. They all came together, forming a loose coalition of refugee ships. They moved from system to system, staying ahead of Vrex patrols, helping others escape when they could. And Minho had become their symbol, the human who had tamed the Voidborn. The Serpent's guardian, some called him. He did not love the title, but he understood why it mattered. People needed hope. They needed to believe that kindness could defeat cruelty. Hana walked up beside him, carrying a datapad. "Got the latest reports from our scouts," she said. "3 more species have sent representatives. They want to join the coalition." "That is good," Minho said. "We can always use more help." "There is other news," Hana said carefully. "Earth has sent a diplomatic ship. They want to meet with you. And with Duri." Minho tensed. He had known this was coming. Earth government had been cautious about him since the escape, not sure what to make of a human who had bonded with an alien creature that could destroy starships. Some saw him as a hero. Others saw him as a potential threat. "When do they arrive?" he asked. "Tomorrow," Hana said. "The ambassador's name is Choi Sunmi. I looked her up. She is good people, Minho, fair. She will listen." "I hope so," Minho said. He looked out at Duri, who had finally caught the maintenance drone and was gently holding it in a coil, like a child hugging a stuffed animal. "Because Duri and I are not going to be separated. Not for Earth, not for anyone." "I know," Hana said softly. "We all know, and we will stand with you." The next day, the Earth diplomatic ship arrived. Ambassador Choi Sunmi was a tall woman with gray hair and kind eyes. She came aboard with only 2 guards, a sign of good faith. Minho met her in the largest conference room, with Thulvex, Hana, Deho, and Jiwoo present. "Mr. Kang," Sunmi said, bowing slightly. "It is an honor to meet you." "Just Minho, please," he said. "And the honor is mine, Ambassador." They sat down, and Sunmi got straight to the point. "Earth wants to understand what happened. We have heard many stories. Some say you control the Voidborn. Others say it controls you. We need to know the truth." "The truth is simple," Minho said. "Duri is not the Voidborn. That was a name the Vrex gave to scare people. Duri is a living being who was hurt and alone. I helped. We became friends. That is all." "That is all?" Sunmi raised an eyebrow. "Minho, your friend can destroy warships. It exists in multiple dimensions. It is one of the most powerful beings we have ever encountered." "Yes," Minho agreed. "And Duri chooses to use that power to protect, not to hurt. Every day, Duri chooses kindness. That should tell you everything you need to know." Sunmi studied him for a long moment. Then she smiled. "You really believe that, don't you? You trust this creature completely." "I do," Minho said. "And if you want proof, come meet Duri yourself." They went to the observation deck. Duri was outside, floating in space, watching the diplomatic ship with hundreds of curious eyes. When Minho stepped up to the window, the creature moved closer, pressing against the transparent metal like a dog greeting its owner. Minho placed his hand on the window. Duri's eyes all focused on that spot, glowing warmly. "Duri," Minho said, knowing the creature could hear him through their bond. "This is Ambassador Sunmi from Earth. She wants to understand you. Can you show her?" Duri made a soft sound, then did something unexpected. The creature opened a part of its mind to Sunmi. Just a little. Just enough. The ambassador gasped as feelings flooded into her. Not words, but pure emotion. warmth, protectiveness, and underneath it all, love for the human who had saved it. Tears formed in Sunmi's eyes. "Oh," she whispered. "Oh, you really are just a gentle soul, are not you?" Through the window, Duri's eyes brightened. The creature understood. "Earth will support you," Sunmi said, turning to Minho. "Both of you. We will help the coalition however we can. And Minho, I am sorry. Sorry that you were captured. Sorry that it took us so long to find you. But what you have done here, bringing all these people together, it is remarkable." "I did not do it alone," Minho said, gesturing to his friends. "We all did this together." The months that followed were busy. The coalition grew larger, adding more ships, more species, more hope. They established a temporary base in an asteroid field, hidden from Vrex patrols. They rescued more prisoners. They even convinced several Vrex ships to defect. Their crews tired of serving an empire built on cruelty. But the Vrex Empire was not done with them. Emperor Vrakesh, the ultimate ruler of the Vrex, watched reports of the coalition with growing anger. This human and his creature had made the empire look weak. That could not stand. He gathered the largest fleet the Vrex had assembled in years. 300 warships, all with one mission: destroy the coalition and recapture the Voidborn. When the Vrex fleet arrived at the coalition's base, it was like a wall of metal and guns blocking out the stars. Every ship in the coalition scrambled to prepare for battle, but everyone knew the truth. They were outnumbered, outgunned. This was going to be their last stand. Minho stood on the bridge of the flagship with Daeho, Hana, Jiwoo, and Thulvex. Through the window, he could see Duri coiling in space, agitated and ready to fight. "They brought a dimensional anchor," Thulvex said grimly, studying the sensors. "3 of them, actually. Backup systems. They are not taking chances this time." "Can Duri break 3 anchors?" Hana asked. "I do not know," Minho admitted. Through the bond, he felt Duri's determination, but also worry. 3 anchors was a lot, even for the creature's power. The Vrex fleet commander's voice boomed across all frequencies. "Surrender now! Return the Voidborn. You will be allowed to live." "They are lying," Thulvex said. "Vrex do not forgive rebellion." Minho knew he was right. If they surrendered, they would all die. Or worse, be returned to prison cells. And Duri would go back to being a weapon. "No," Minho said firmly. "We do not surrender. Not today. Not ever." He reached out through the bond to Duri. What he asked next was selfish, he knew. But he had to ask. "Can you save everyone? All the ships?" Duri sent back uncertainty. The creature was powerful, but there were limits. Protecting one person from vacuum was easy. Protecting hundreds of ships from 300 warships? That was different. But Duri would try. For Minho, the creature would try anything. The battle began. The Vrex fleet opened fire, and space lit up with energy blasts. The coalition ships returned fire, but they were being overwhelmed. Ships took damage. People were dying. Duri moved through the battlefield like lightning, destroying Vrex weapons, protecting coalition ships. But the creature could not be everywhere at once. Then the dimensional anchors activated. All 3 at once. Duri screamed as the fields locked onto the creature, pulling from 3 directions. The creature fought, but it was too much. Duri was being torn apart. Minho felt every moment of Duri's pain through their bond. It was like being torn apart himself. "No," he gasped. "Duri, let go. Save yourself." But Duri would not let go, would not abandon the fleet, would not abandon Minho. Then something unexpected happened. The other ships, the coalition ships, they changed their formation. Instead of fleeing or fighting, they moved to surround Duri, and they started linking their power systems together, creating a massive energy field. "What are you doing?" Minho shouted to Daeho. "Something crazy," Daeho said with a grin. "Jiwoo figured it out. If we link our shields together and channel the energy through Duri's dimensional field, we can create a resonance pulse. It should disrupt the anchors." "Should," Hana said. "It is that or die," Jiwoo said over the comm. Everyone, on my mark. 3, 2, 1. Now. Energy from every coalition ship poured into Duri. The creature's body lit up like a star, glowing with power. And then Duri released it all at once, a pulse of dimensional energy that rippled across space. The three-dimensional anchors exploded simultaneously. The blast wave hit the Vrex fleet, not destroying the ships, but pushing them back, scrambling their systems. Duri was free. And more than that, the creature was angry. But Minho felt something else through the bond. A question. The same question from months ago. Can I stop them? Minho thought about it. The Vrex fleet had come to kill everyone, to enslave Duri again. They would keep coming. Keep hunting, forever if they had to. Yes, Minho said. But Duri, remember, we are better than them. Duri moved. The creature grew larger, uncoiling to its full size, miles and miles of impossible body. And then Duri opened rifts in space, small dimensional pockets, dozens of them. The creature grabbed the Vrex warships, not destroying them, but pushing them into the pockets, trapping them, but not killing them. In minutes, the entire Vrex fleet was gone, displaced into dimensional spaces where they would float, unharmed but unable to escape, until Duri chose to release them. The battle was over. The coalition had won. On the Vrex homeworld, Emperor Vrakesh watched his fleet disappear and knew the truth. The Voidborn could not be recaptured, and the human who commanded it would not negotiate. For the first time in Vrex history, the Emperor opened diplomatic channels with an enemy, not to demand surrender but to ask for peace. Minho stood on the observation deck 2 days later, reading the Emperor's message. It was formal, cold, but it was real. The Vrex Empire agreed to stop hunting the Coalition. In return, the Coalition would release the trapped fleet. We won, Hana said beside him. We actually won. For now, Thulvek said. He had become a good friend over the months. The Vrex will honor this peace, but they will not forget. We must stay vigilant. We will, Minho said. He looked out at Duri, who was playing with a group of children in small spacesuits, gently spinning them around in the creature's coils. They were laughing, squealing with delight, completely unafraid. That was the future Minho wanted. Not fear, but joy. Not weapons, but friends. Minho, Jiwoo said over the comm, we have got something interesting on long-range sensors. Energy signatures that match Duri's dimensional patterns. They are coming from uncharted space, really far out. Minho felt excitement pulse through his bond with Duri. The creature had heard too. Others, possibly others of Duri's kind. How far? Minho asked. 6 months' travel, maybe more, Jiwoo said. It is at the edge of known space. Minho looked at Duri, and Duri looked back with thousands of hopeful eyes. Then that is where we go next, Minho said. All of us. The Coalition fleet turned toward the unknown, toward the possibility of finding more creatures like Duri, toward a future where kindness mattered more than cruelty. And at the front of that fleet, a human and a cosmic serpent traveled together. Neither one alone anymore. Both finally free.